Good evening, everyone. My name is Bill Warburton, and I'm going to talk about cyclocross in Bend. So raise your hand if you've been to a cross race before. Sweet, this is amazing. So I'm not going to bother to introduce cross because we all know what it is. It's awesome. But one of the things is that people think that cyclocross is a combination between road biking and mountain biking, when in fact, cyclocross started in the early 1900s in Europe, and it's been one of the main lines of cycling for the last 100 years. It's very popular all over the world, and right here in Bend in Oregon, we're starting to actually make a difference on a global scale about the sport, because when people look at it, they find out that it's like a superorganism of really cool things. And they're like, oh, cyclocross has all these awesome things, I want to be a part of this. It's not a fad like rollerblading or some of those other sports you might know. Cyclocross has a really deep tradition, and we're finding out that we've had cyclocross nationals here for the last 2 years, and we're starting to build those traditions right here in Bend. That's really awesome. So cyclocross can draw a bunch of people together, and like tonight, good crowds are awesome. It's not just a bunch of people milling around, it's like a party. So this year at Cyclocross Nationals, there are about 10,000 people there, and that stands as the record for the biggest cross party in the country. Another record we set was the beginning race for the Cross Crusade at Alpenrose, and you can see that we had, the majority were men, the majority were racing in the beginning categories, so a lot of people are coming into the sport at relatively middle age because they're, for whatever reason, discovering the sport, falling in love with it, and we need to encourage those people to get other people involved with the sport and have a better representation of basically our community at those races. So one of the ways that I want to see that happen is by encouraging women to fill out their fields, to see more women in the elite fields, to see more young men and women coming up into the ranks. We don't need to make the sport any harder, we just need to show the future of the sport what it is so that they can go farther with it than we ever have. In Oregon, we have a cyclocross program in high schools now. We're the first ones in the country to do this. So we had about 100 people this year. I'm hoping that this year we can see 200 people from 20 schools across the state. That would be a fairly good representation of all the schools, all the different economic backgrounds, and that everybody comes together over this one sport. One of the things that helps get people into the sport is that if you think about it like a traditional ball sport, instead of something like mountain biking where people imagine themselves on a trail by themselves with cougars, no, I mean, this is a spot, it's in the front country, we're using available terrain. These are all places that we can just set up in our backyards or around schools. And the size of the area that we need is relatively small. It can be around a running track, it can be in the corner of a city park. We don't need to go out into the forest and completely disrupt ourselves to get out there. We can basically do it from where we are. Once people show up, they might be a little intimidated by a group or trying to learn, or they might not want to put themselves into a clinic or something like that because they think they can just figure it out. But luckily, people get a lot of satisfaction from that really early improvement, and they improve really quickly. Once you see where you're going with this, you can control your own cross destiny. You can decide if you want to pick your category. You can race in the elite men, or you can hang out and cheer on your friends and drink a beer. That's one of the really cool things about the sport, because you have the ownership of it. And as you know, Americans like to own things. We basically assimilate things into our culture, and by 2013, we'll be hosting the World Cyclocross Championships for the first time in the US. By 2020, I don't think anyone's going to remember that it used to be a European thing. Spending money is hard for some people, but luckily cyclocross provides a really good value. There's a lot of fun, there's a lot of groups out there, you get involved with it, and it's not that expensive compared to other sports, so it's pretty accessible. However much people spend and where that economy is going, we don't really know, so we might as well just read our horoscope. We've got citizens are going to prepare the earth, new courses will be set, new warriors are created, and everyone will be united as a result of cyclocross. We got our lucky numbers too. 1.5 million was the direct injection of money into this community from nationals. 100 is the number of juniors and women that I would like to see pick up the sport this year, and 1 is that we're going to do it the right way. If you look at our ancient code, you can see that cyclocross represents physical body. It helps your body, it frees your mind, it feeds your soul, and it releases your spirit. As our individuals, become better people, we all become better people. So thanks very much, and I hope to see you out at the races.